The leaves are starting to come down now. Look how beautiful it is out here. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mark Grego's YouTube channel. And boy, have I got a story for you. Yes, it's a Halloween story. And I put that in the title because I didn't want you to know what I was going to talk about. Look at all them leaves. Look how cool that is. The camera's not picking it up. I know it ain't. Not the way it should. Anyways, I want to talk about one of my favorite childhood experiences around Halloween time, growing up in Aliquippa. And for those of you who are my age and even older, you're really going to love this. How many of you remember the old haunted house that they had down at the golf course below Aliquippa Hospital? You know, the golf course down there? How many of you remember the spook house that used to be back there? Well, every Halloween, it was back when you drove past the golf course, on your right-hand side, like say you were coming from Aliquippa to stop at the DiMattia Plan, or Mill Street. If you got off Mill Street and went down the hill on Golf Course Road, and you drove past the golf course, and on to your right side would be where the old clubhouse used to be. Well, that burned down. And then you kept going, and you went all the way past the 18th hole. Remember where the 18th hole was? It still is, I think. I don't know. I haven't been. It's been years since I've been down there. But so past that, and then on to your right, there was a road. There was like, I think, two houses. Then there was a house between that one, and there was a road in between these two houses. And in the back, when you drove back in that road, that's where it was at. That's where the spook house was. I used to be so anticipatory and terrified at the same time, because I can remember going there and waiting in line for at least an hour before you could even get in there. I mean, folks, this was like a hot spot, man. It was back in the late 1970s, early 80s. This place was rocking. And what's extraordinary about it, and what I remember, maybe it's because I'm remembering it as a child and, you know, the special effects are perhaps exaggerated, you know, especially for that time era, but I got to tell you, that place was absolutely terrifying. I remember one particular night. I don't remember the year, but it was around this time in Halloween. We'd go down there on like Friday nights, Saturday nights. Went down there with my mother and my brother and a couple of our friends. Never fails every time I make a video. And we're sitting there and we're waiting to get in, and we go in, and there's all these lights flashing, and there's people screaming, people's getting their heads chopped off. It was just crazy. It was sheer madness, and it was absolutely terrifying and fun at the same time. And we're walking, we're going through this. We can barely see the noses in front of our faces. And I got to this dark end of the room, the hallway sort of. It was very difficult to tell where I was at because I couldn't see. And I felt something, and I'm going like this, and I'm patting, you know, and I'm feeling, I could feel it was a person, or it felt like a person, you know, I felt clothing, I felt material. And lo and behold, just as I've done that, okay, just as I do that, all these weird flashing lights start going like really bright, like not even worse than a police car, an ambulance, or a fire truck. And I see a black suit with this, like, you know, white, like tuxedo type, and a guy in a cape, and it's Dracula. It's Count Dracula himself, and I'm looking at him, and I froze with fear. My mother, she grabs my shoulder, and she pulls me. She's like, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I'm looking, and I said, Mom, and I'm pointing, and she's like, yeah, I know, it's Dracula. She said, I know, honey. I'm like, we need to get out of here. And we saw, I don't know, there were mummies in there. There were werewolves would come out and jump at you and scream. A guy with a chainsaw would come out and jump at you, like Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There was a person like, no, not a Freddy Krueger type. This is even before, I think, Nightmare on Elm Street. So this is going really back. That first movie for Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, was in 1984. So I don't remember any Freddy Kruegers down there. I kind of remember a Jason type and a Leatherface type of person down there. Maybe Michael Myers too, but not. He wasn't as popular back then as he is now, you know. So I mean, Michael Myers was still a relatively new concept back in those times. Oh, it's starting to rain now. I hope I don't get rained on. I hope it doesn't mess up the camera. I don't know if this camera's waterproof. I'm going to find out. So we would spend the Halloween season going down there each week. Now, Another thing that I remember that's really etched in my mind, but it's hazy as I grow older and my memory fades. At the Beaver Valley Mall, when it was a mall, for those of you who remember, where the Get-Go is now, that big Giant Eagle Get-Go they have there, you know, where Toys R Us used to be. When you came down that road, depending on where you lived in Beaver County, us kids, we called that the back way to get into the mall. That was the way sometimes we would leave just to go wherever we were going after, you know, the mall, after we were done shopping. But if you went past Toys R Us and you went down a hill and up to the red lights, there was a big sign. There was a huge sign on a hillside. It says Spook House. And it would point the way, and it said Aliquippa, and it gave the golf course road. And the dude that they had on that sign, well, he really wasn't. He wasn't a real human being, but it was just this incredible, hideous, zombie-type madman monster. It was unbelievable. The graphics on this thing were so extraordinary. I so wish I had a picture of that that I could show you guys. It was amazing. I just wonder if any pictures of that exist somewhere in somebody's photo album, you know, that they just happened to do a snap of that picture, of that sign. It was extraordinary. It was amazing. For the time period, oh my goodness, it was awesome. And that was one of the things that I remember. And the other thing that really steps out to me, and I don't know, maybe you guys were down there that night when I was down there. I don't know how many nights he was down there. But one time my mother and I are sitting, they had a bench there. They sold some food there from time to time. I can't remember what the hell we ate, but maybe it was like hot apples or something. I can't remember. They had hot chocolate and coffee and stuff like that. And there was a person there that a whole bunch of people were around. A whole bunch of people were standing around him. And there was this guy with this portable, like a portable bag, and he had a microphone. And he's broadcasting like it was a radio station, and I think it was. I think during those sessions down there at the Spook House in Aliquippa there on Golf Course Road, they used to have, I think it was like 3WS or some kind of radio station used to go down there, and they would broadcast and tell people to come down. This is how big it was. It was truly a lavish and ghoulish get-together for citizens of Beaver County. Now, that, of course, was not the only spook house they had in Beaver County. Beaver County had quite a few of them. I mean, that wasn't why it was so special, I guess. It was just special because I remember, and it was literally in my backyard. You know, there wasn't you could walk if you had to. We used to ride our bikes down there as kids, even though our parents admonished us for doing so, but we used to, you know, ride our bikes. Because by that spook house was another house that I'll get to in a minute. I'll tell it real quickly, but the person that was standing there with everybody around him and a guy with a microphone was giving him an interview, or he was broadcasting himself, was Bill Cardille, Chilly Billy. Chilly Billy was still on TV at that time. So that gives us, like I said, late 70s, very early 80s, because right after that, Chilly Billy, you know, his show was canceled. Which, by the way, they need to bring back TV horror hosts. I really think they do. There's a wonderful book on TV horror hosts all throughout the country that you can get on Amazon. If I remember, I'll leave a link below the video, and you can check it out. I'll link it to Amazon, I think, because that's, I don't know, I think that's the only place you can buy it. But he was down there, and I got to meet him and shake hands with him, and I think my mother took a picture, but I can't really remember, and I haven't seen it. If she did, you know, my mother's long gone now, and, you know, perhaps my older brother may have it, I don't know, but I think she took a picture of us. Well, to move the story forward, you know, as I got older, I lost interest in the spook house. As I became a teenager, I'm like, whatever, you know. A couple of dates I had with women over the years, I would go to spook houses and whatnot. Now I think they're kind of cool. I would still go back now, even in my old age. But there was a period in my life where I completely lost interest. I was chasing women instead. And somebody came up to me one day, one of my friends, and said, "Did you know that I'm going to take some shelter here, guys. It's starting to rain pretty hard, but that's okay. It adds atmosphere to the story. Did you know that spook house burnt down?" I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, it was all over the news. It was in the newspapers. Somebody burned it down. Someone had committed a terrible form of arson on the highest level." Because, like I said, it was a really hometown favorite. Now, I must say, and I will, there are a couple of names that popped up over the years as to who may have started that fire down there. But that's classified information, and I cannot tell you, because I don't know if it's true anyways. However, that was the end of it. That was the end of the spook house in Aliquippa. It was a wonderful place. It was a wonderful get-together for everybody, and I really miss it. And now, I have not been down the golf course in many years, okay? I haven't been down there for a very long time. I know that road is still there, but I don't know if there's a new house back there. I don't know who owns the property. I don't know who owned the property then, and I certainly don't know who owns it now. If anybody has any pictures, get a hold of me on one of my social platforms, and I would love to see those pictures. Has anybody been down there recently? Maybe you live near the golf course. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments. Where did you go as a child in Beaver County for your favorite hauntings? Share your Halloween childhood memories with us. Everybody would love to know. And with that said, I think I'm going to go home because it's really raining now, even though it's all light back there. But that's the nature of the game, or the nature of the beast. Happy Halloween. Stay safe. Like, subscribe. Please let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love to hear your stories about your Halloween experiences. All right, guys.